Have you ever heard of the Worldwide Association of Specialty Programs and Schools, or WASP? It's a network of programs and boarding schools, established with the supposed mission to reform troubled teens. It's a name that may not ring any bells, a seemingly benign organization. But beneath its surface, lies a complex enigma. As we peel back the layers, a shroud of mystery begins to unravel. As we delve deeper, you'll discover a darker side to this organization. The year 2000 marked the beginning of a series of disturbing revelations about WASP. In the dawn of the new millennium, the Worldwide Association of Specialty Programs and Schools, better known as WASP, found itself under a harsh spotlight. This was no ordinary scrutiny, but one that revealed a chilling underbelly of criminal activities linked to this seemingly benign organization. The first instances of these activities were nothing short of horrifying. They were tales of physical and psychological abuse that echoed within the walls of the institutions associated with WASP. Students were allegedly subjected to severe disciplinary actions, far beyond the boundaries of what one might consider tough love. These horrifying practices were not isolated incidents, but rather a systemic issue that plagued the organization's schools. The allegations painted a grim picture of life within these institutions. They spoke of grueling physical labor, prolonged isolation, and punitive measures that were nothing short of torture. The schools, which promised a nurturing environment for troubled teens, were instead breeding grounds for fear and despair. At the center of these allegations were the owners of WASP, key among them being Robert Litchfield. Litchfield, a businessman and education entrepreneur, was touted as the architect of these programs. Yet, beneath the facade of educational reform, it was alleged that Litchfield and his associates were orchestrating a reign of terror on the very individuals they vowed to help. These revelations sent shockwaves through the public, sparking a vehement outcry against WASP. Yet, as harrowing as these initial allegations were, they marked merely the tip of the iceberg. The true extent of the horrors within WASP was far more extensive and deeply rooted than anyone could have anticipated. But the horrors didn't end there, they were just beginning. As the years rolled by, the allegations against WASP only grew more ominous. WASP and its owners were not strangers to the inside of a courtroom. In fact, they were embroiled in a slew of lawsuits that ranged from allegations of abuse to accusations of fraud. Among these, 2 lawsuits stand out for their significance and the shocking revelations they brought to light. The Turley lawsuit, filed in the early 2000s, was a class-action suit that alleged a horrifying spectrum of abuses. It claimed that students at the WASP-affiliated schools were subjected to physical and psychological torture, forced labor, and even sexual abuse. The plaintiffs, former students of these schools, sought justice for the torment they endured. Then we have the Wood lawsuit. This case, filed by a single plaintiff, painted a disturbing picture of the lengths WASP would go to in order to maintain its hold on its students. The plaintiff alleged that WASP had knowingly and deliberately misrepresented the nature of its programs to parents, luring them into sending their children into a world of abuse and manipulation. During these lawsuits, chilling details emerged. Stories of isolation rooms, punitive regimes, and brutal physical punishments echoed through the courtroom. Allegations of students being denied basic human rights, including access to healthcare and education, were laid bare. These lawsuits revealed a tangled web of deceit, manipulation, and abuse, all intricately woven by WASP and its owners. They exposed a system that thrived on the suffering of its students and the desperation of their parents. Yet, despite the mounting evidence and the damning testimonies, justice remained elusive. Legal technicalities, jurisdictional issues, and the daunting financial resources of WASP often resulted in cases being dismissed or settlements being reached out of court. The lawsuits painted a grim picture, but the worst was yet to come. The year 2005 saw the beginning of the end for WASP. As the calendar pages turned, so too did the tide against the Worldwide Association of Specialty Programs and Schools. The mounting pressure and legal troubles became an insurmountable obstacle. One by one, WASP schools and programs shuttered their doors, their walls no longer echoing with the whispers of veiled threats and cries of despair. The once mighty organization crumbled under the weight of its own nefarious deeds. But the downfall of WASP wasn't a simple closing of a chapter. It was the start of a new, grim narrative for those who had been trapped within its clutches. The victims, now survivors, were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, their innocence stolen, their trust betrayed. For many, the aftermath was a time of healing, a slow and painful journey towards reclaiming their lives. But for others, the shadows of the past continued to loom large, the memories of their ordeal at WASP a persistent, haunting specter. And what of the owners of WASP? The puppeteers behind this twisted performance? Regrettably, their dance with justice was short and unsatisfying. Despite the mountain of complaints and evidence stacked against them, accountability seemed to slip through their fingers like sand. Their lack of punishment, a stark reminder of the often unjust scales of justice. WASP may be gone, but the scars it left behind remain. WASP's story leaves us with more questions than answers. It's a perplexing narrative, filled with shadows and whispers, with many threads yet to be unraveled. Despite the organization's downfall, the lingering echoes of its operations continue to haunt those affected. The owners of WASP, although exposed, are yet to face the full weight of their actions. The extent of their involvement, the depth of their knowledge, and the degree of their culpability remain subjects of intense scrutiny. Investigations are ongoing, and efforts to hold them accountable are relentless. However, the main players of WASP have started new institutions under new names across the globe. These players have no credentials or certifications to be overseeing such institutions. As these institutions get shut down, new ones pop up in their place to this day. This isn't just a story about a criminal organization. It's about the resilience of its victims, their pursuit of justice, and the collective effort to ensure no other young person has to endure such an ordeal. It's about staying informed, being vigilant, and refusing to let the atrocities of the past fade into oblivion.